Welcome back to our fantasy lore and cinema nexus. Today, we're delving into the Targaryen legacy and examining one of the most controversial decisions in Westeros history, Aegon Targaryen's choice to name Aenys as his successor. Was it a monumental blunder, or was there a method to his madness? Let's find out. Hello, everyone. Today, we'll discuss Aegon Targaryen, also known as Aegon the Conqueror, and the implications of appointing Aenys as his heir. This decision would shape the future of House Targaryen and lead to significant turbulence in the realm. Aegon the Conqueror was a first Lord of the Seven Kingdoms, King of the Andal, the Rhoynar, and the First Man, and establisher of Targaryen dynasty on Westeros, known for his conquering Westeros and changing the rules of war, according to Tywin Lannister in Game of Thrones. Aegon sought to solidify his family's power in Westeros after the conquest. Aegon faced a divided realm and nobility that was not fully loyal to the Iron Throne. His choice of successor would prove pivotal in Targaryen history. Aenys Targaryen, Aegon's eldest son, was seen as a gentle soul, kind-hearted and compassionate. However, these very traits would later be viewed as weaknesses in the brutal world of Westeros. Aenys Targaryen was born 7 AC to King Aegon Targaryen and Queen Rhaenys Targaryen on Dragonstone. He was weak and sickly at birth and cried all the time. He refused to nurse from wet nurses and would only nurse at his mother's breast. When Aegon Targaryen died in 37 AC of stroke, Aenys was at Progresses together with his wife Alyssa in Reach. He swiftly flew Quicksilver to Dragonstone for the funeral and his coronation. He was proclaimed king by Grand Maester Gawain. After Maegor had spoken the eulogy for their father and Aegon had been cremated, Aenys gifted his brother with the sword Blackfire, admitting that Maegor was more fit to wield the blade than he was. After Maegor bended to Aenys, and Aenys asked his half-brother to wield the blade than he was. Aenys asked Maegor to wield the sword in service to him, and told his brother that they would rule together and him to never bend to him again. This was taken as a sign of Aenys' weakness, that if can't wield his father's sword, then how can he rule his father's realm? And Maegor was fitted for throne, not Aenys. According to Maester Yandel, Aenys was coronated during a ceremony in the Red Keep with an ornate golden crown rather than his father's crown. First year of his reign, uprisings led by 4 rebels rose throughout the realm. First of these occurred in the Riverlands, where a bandit outlaw known as Red Heron claimed to be a grandson of Heron the Black. Heron and his men seized Harrenhal and killed Lord Gargan Coharies. On the Iron Islands, a man claiming to be the priest King Lodos began to gather followers, while in the Dornish marches the Vulture King began to gather an army of Dornishmen who wished to avenge the destruction visited upon Dorne during the First Dornish War. Finally, in the Vale, Lord Ronald Arryn was taken captive by his own brother, Jonos Arryn. Convinced that Smallfold loved him, Aenys didn't understood why people rebelled against him and considered sending messengers to 4 rebel instead of bringing down the 4 rebel, thorough fire and blood that his father would have done. While Aenys was unable to handle rebels, lords took the matters in their hand and ended the rebellion. Aenys rewarded titles, land, and gifts to the lords and knights. Aenys granted Goran Greyjoy any boon he might desire as a show of gratitude, a decision Aenys would later regret as Goran won. As Lord Alan Stokeworth had been killed by Red Heron in rebellion, Aenys named his brother as Hand of the King. Despite their differences, the brothers ruled together amicably for 2 years, required that he be allowed to expel the Faith of the Seven from the Iron Islands, much to the Faith's fury. In 39 AC, shortly after the birth of Aenys' 6th child, Vela, who died in the cradle, a new crisis arose. Prince Maegor announced that his wife was barren and that he had thus taken a second wife. Aenys and Maegor quarreled bitterly about the polygamous marriage. The High Septon denounced the marriage, and many of the pious lords in the realm similarly condemned it. Feeling he had no other option, a furious Aenys gave his brother a choice: either set Alice Haraway aside or go into exile for 5 years. Maegor chose the latter option and left for Pentos in 40 AC with Alice and Balerion. Aenys requested that his brother return Blackfire before he left, but Maegor refused to do so. In an attempt to placate the faith, Aenys named Septon Murmison as his new Hand of the King. However, the High Septon continued to voice his discontent, while the lords of Westeros began to call Aenys weak and consider him incapable of ruling. Aenys was oblivious to these criticisms. As Maegor left the Westeros, Aenys' most loyal and important supporters to him was gone. This marked the beginning of Aenys' downfall, as his half-brother was not there to save him and dynasty. In 41 AC, Aenys announced that his eldest daughter, Princess Rhaena, would wed his eldest son and heir, Prince Aegon. The negative reactions to his announcement took Aenys by surprise. Faith condemned the incestuous marriage as an obscenity, and Aenys, though normally indecisive, decided to stand on his decision. This sparked the fire between Faith and Targaryens. Dowager Queen Visenya suggested Aenys had only two options: either find new match for his children, and second, bring fire and blood to Faith, which Aenys denied. Soon after marriage of Aegon and Rhaena wedding ceremony, Septon Myrmison, who performed the rituals for the incestuous marriage, was expelled from the Faith. A fortnight later, he was cut into pieces by poor fellows who take up arms. And other poor fellows scaled the walls of the Red Keep, attempting to murder the king and his family, failing only when a knight of the Kingsguard intervened. The warriors' sons began to fortify the Hill of Rhaenys, ensuring the Sept of Remembrance could withstand the Targaryens. Aenys and his family fled the city and went to Dragonstone. Aenys refused to follow Visenya's advice to burn the Starry Sept at Old Town and the Sept of Remembrance in King's Landing. Aenys died in 42 AC after only ruling for 5 years at the age of 35. He was cremated at Dragonstone with his widow, Alyssa Valerian, singing a dirge for him, 5. Years later, some people suggested that Dowager Queen Visenya Targaryen had been responsible for Aenys' sudden death. They cited Visenya's preference of her own son, Maegor, her ambition to seat him upon the throne, and the fact that she took care of the sick Aenys when he apparently disgusted her as her reason. Iron Throne was being passed to Aegon, the second eldest son of Aenys, but Maegor Targaryen took the power in his hands with help of her mother, because Aegon II and Rhaena were trapped Craighall by members of the Faith. At the same time, Aegon's father, King Aenys, died on Dragonstone, and then began the dragon reign of King Maegor, who saved the Targaryen dynasty. Ultimately, Aenys' gentle approach to ruling left him ill-equipped to handle the violent and chaotic nature of the political landscape. His reign ended in tragedy, and the repercussions of Aegon's decision would haunt House Targaryen for generations, and perhaps even the end of House Targaryen rule in Westeros, if not for Maegor Targaryen to save his House Targaryen. Aegon Targaryen's choice to name Aenys as his successor is often viewed as a grave mistake. In a world where strength and cunning are paramount, Aenys' character proved to be a liability rather than an asset. So was Aegon's decision a blunder? Many historians believe it was. Aenys' reign demonstrated that a ruler must possess not only compassion, but also the strength to navigate the harsh realities of power. Let me know. I comments what you think.